guys, let's make some vegan shepherd's pie today. The ingredients you're going to need for this recipe is potatoes cut up, about 3 to 4 cups. I like to use red potatoes and leave the peels on. It leaves, it adds color and it's good for you. And then you need about half the amount of cut up cauliflower. So if you've got 3 cups of potatoes, 1.5 cups or so of cauliflower. If you've got 4 cups of potatoes, 2 cups of cauliflower. Just depends on how much potatoes you want on the top of your shepherd's pie. For the inside ingredients, we're going to need about half a cup of diced onion, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic minced. And today, once again, I am using Eve's Veggie Ground Round. This time I'm using the Italian seasoned one. You can use the plain. If you want a little bit more spice, you can use the Mexican, whatever. Or you can use TVP, or you can even chop up mushrooms, but that is very long and tedious. We are also going to need about between half a cup and 1 cup each of green beans and carrots. Those I've both got fresh. You can use frozen if you like. Corn, which is frozen, and peas, which are frozen. And you can see I went a little heavier on the peas. We like peas and they're a great source of protein. We're also going to use some Bisto to help enrich in that gravy and thicken it up. So I've used about 2 tablespoons here, and I have mixed it with a little bit of vegetable broth. You don't need very much, and just stir it up, mix it up. Now, if you use the seasoned Veggie Ground Round, you don't need much other seasoning, maybe salt and pepper to taste. If you're not using the season, you can use an Italian seasoning, which again is mostly oregano and basil. So you can do that too. Probably about, if you're using oregano and basil, probably about a tablespoon of each, or you can use about 2 tablespoons of either one of these. This one has a little bit more salt in it. This is just pure herbs. And we're also going to need some veggie broth or water, whatever you have, and that's just so to make the sauce. So that's what we're going to need. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is boil our potatoes. So I have put the potatoes in water over a high heat, bringing that water to a boil, and we're just going to let those potatoes cook while we make the rest. And I'm going to, another option is you can throw in some smashed garlic, make them a little bit garlicky, smashed potatoes. So we'll bring that to a boil and then let it simmer while we start cooking the bottom half. Okay, so we're going to start by heating about 2 teaspoons of oil over a medium heat, and then we will add our onion and simmer them until they are translucent. So now adding in our garlic and continuing to cook over a medium or low to medium heat for about 1 minute more, not too much on the garlic. And now adding in the ground round, and we're going to break it up, stir it all in, and heat it through. Now at this point, if it starts to stick, this is when you would add your veggie broth in, just to stop it from sticking. You can see it starting to stick here on the bottom. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of veggie broth. And keep simmering. And you just keep doing that as much as you need. And we're going to simmer that a little bit. And now we're just going to add in all of the vegetables. And stir it all up. My potatoes are boiling now. So we'll just get the rest of it ready here. Now once you've got it all stirred in, I'm just going to add more veggie broth to bring it to sort of a gravy consistency. You could add, instead of all vegetable broth here or water, you could also add in some red wine. It makes it really nice, very rich. I just don't have any today, so I'm just using the veggie broth, which is just fine. So now I'm just going to bring this to a simmer. I think we need a little bit more broth in there. You want to remember you're making a gravy, so you don't want it too liquidy, but you do, right about there is good. So far I have used about 1.5 cups of the veggie broth. So we're just going to bring it to a simmer and let those vegetables cook. The time that if you're using unseasoned veggie ground round, you would add in your seasonings here too. And I'm going to add in a little bit, but just sort of a dash, really, because I have the seasoned ground round, so we don't want to overdo it. Once it has come to a little bit of a simmer, now we're going to add our bisto into there. So I'm just going to give the bisto one more little stir here, make sure that it's all mixed up, and then we're just going to put it right into the mixture. Now the bisto is a thickening agent and adds flavor. It's great. It is vegan. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's already getting thick. So I'm just going to stir it up until it's good and thick. And then I'm just going to turn off the heat, put a cover on it, and let it sit while the potatoes cook. Okay, so now the potatoes are starting to soften. They're getting close to being cooked. So at this point, I'm going to throw in the cauliflower. Now you can use any vegetable you want in here, but cauliflower is great and it is good for you and it adds a nice texture and it's better than just all potatoes. So I'm just going to stick those in there. We're going to cover it up and let them cook a little bit. We don't want to put cauliflower in right at the very beginning because then it would be too soft and mushy. So we're just going to put them in, let them become kind of soft, and then we'll take it off. So while we're waiting for the cauliflower to cook in with the potatoes, we're just going to transfer our bottom half into a dish. Today I'm using a 13 by 9 glass dish. You probably have noticed I use this size dish a lot. I have a small oven. For those of you that don't know, I live in an RV, so my oven is quite small, so I can't go very deep on the dish. So this one is nice and narrow. It will fit into my oven. So this is what I'm using. You can use whatever you like. You can even use little individual dishes if you like. So I'm just going to put that in there and we're going to wait for the potatoes. And while we're waiting, we're going to put our oven on and set it to about 375. So now both the potatoes and the cauliflower are cooked, so we are going to mash them up. Now, make your mashed potatoes the way you like mashed potatoes. I know it's a very personal thing. I like them more smashed than mashed, so a little rough, a lot of flavor in there. But if you like it smoother, feel free to do so. The other thing is, it's up to you what you put in it. I like to put in tofutti, dairy-free sour cream. I find it is awesome in mashed potatoes. It's got the right consistency, it tastes good. But if you prefer, you can use vegan butter, a plant-based milk, whatever works for you. So I'm just going to mash this up until we have it all smooth. So those mashed potatoes are mashed up nicely now, and now I'm just going to add them to the top of our bottom layer. So there we have it, spread evenly all over. So we've got them ready to go in the oven. At this point, and again, this is another option, I like to just sprinkle on a little bit of vegan cheddar. Not too much. You just want it so that it gets nice and crispy on top actually. So you can use cheddar, you can use panko or breadcrumbs, or even the French's crispy onions are really nice on here. And then I'm just going to grind some fresh black pepper and put it in the oven. And here we go, right into the oven, uncovered. And we're gonna have it in there for about half an hour, and then just watch it. I like it to get a little bit brown and bubbly on the top, so about half an hour, depends on your oven. And half an hour later, out of the oven, you can see it's all bubbly and cooked. It's nice on top. You want to let it sit for a few minutes, cool down a little bit, but of course not to the point where it's cold, just so that it's easier to serve. Okay, let's dig in.